Yeah. Tell them boys to tighten up. Tighten up.
Let me hear you say.
Whole city getting hype now. Tell them boys to tighten up. Tighten up.
Let me hear you say.
Nissan come alive for them. Tell them boys to tighten up. Tighten up.
Let me hear you say.
All my people on Broadway.
Welcome to Upload Live. Wait, where am I? Oh, Mr. Titan Show. How about that? Welcome to the Mr. Titan Show. So let's get ready for a great show. Tighten up and let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back again, Titan Nation. How are you guys doing? Today I have a special guest, as you can tell in the intro. We have the one, the only, Titan Upload. How you doing, man?
Doing good, Alex. What's going on? How you doing?
Just hanging in here. Let's get this thing going, man. Again, we have the Tennessee Titans versus the Tampa Bay preseason game. What are the things you're looking forward to? Again, a lot of people are really psyched for this game, but there's a couple starters obviously not playing. I don't think Tom Brady is going to play. I don't think any of the Buccaneers, they said their first strings are not playing. So what are we looking forward to? What are we going to get out of this matchup?
What I think nationally you're going to get is the chippiness, the 4 fights at the last practice, Antonio Brown, sucker punching Chris Jackson and those kind of things. So I think from that interest alone with no starters really playing, because let's be honest, for the Titans, I don't see a lot of starters playing either. I mean, they didn't even practice for the most part. Your A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, Derrick Henry, Taylor Lewan, they weren't even practicing with these guys for the most part. So, again, I'm not expecting all this, this full lineup for the Titans either.
Mm-hmm.
But Molden, for us Titan fans, would be interesting because it looks like he just tweeted out he's ready to go. So this will be his first action, and a lot of us have high praise for him. He's had a really good camp, and we're going to depend on him, I think, in the secondary, especially with so many concerns in the safety position. And I know he can, do many different things. But I think we're still the wide receiver battle is still going to be – I think a lot of people think that thing's already locked up with Rodgers, you know what I mean, and Marcus Johnson. But you know what? They're still got to go out there and perform on tape. We still don't know if they're going to keep 6 or 7. And then continue to see that defensive line dominate like they did last week against Atlanta.
Yeah, definitely. I think the most important thing to look forward to. What's up, Ian? All right, go, buddy. Okay, go. Okay, I'll come and play with you now. Yeah, that's his axe. I'm telling you, man, he loved the medieval times thing. But I think the one that we're looking forward to, or the things that I'm gonna see, kind of like an eye-opener, is obviously wide receiver. We still have to see what they do. Kicker, punt returner. I think those are some of the keys. And I do believe that some of the defense will be – I think maybe Kevin Byard might play, or just a veteran defensive player just to kind of help the younger vets out. I think that's why they played him in the first game. I mean, you had Kevin Byard. We had a couple of those first rounders, the first string defensive players out there, just to kind of show them, kind of help them out. Like, hey, this is what's going to happen in the game for the young, especially the young corners and safeties and stuff like that. So I think that's something to look out for.
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. Again, wide receiver, it's still a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people are kind of stuck on Chester Rogers. That's it. And he's, but they still have to perform and stuff like that. Will we see another Chester Rogers punt returns? Are they going to switch up with maybe Des Fitzpatrick comes in, McMath? Are they going to be more involved in the game? Again, we had Mason Kinsley have a nice little outing. Is Josh Reynolds going to play a little bit, or is he going to be conserved? We don't know. What do you think about that wide receiver core, and who do you think they're going to mix it up with punt returns and stuff like that? And who do you think we're going to see more of?
Yeah, I still think they're going to be open to punt return. I know Chester Rogers had the longest Titans return since the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's preseason, doesn't really count, but still it kind of shows you that maybe he can do it. But you need to see that consistency, and that's why these preseason games are important.
Yep.
But one interesting note from the last game that kind of gets overlooked is 62 plays combined between Racey McMath and Des Fitzpatrick. And honestly, Mr. Titan, I didn't really notice him at all. I know Racey got they threw it to him in the corner of the end zone. He didn't come down with it. It was good coverage, whatever you want to say. But those two, we heard a lot about in camp. In the beginning, we heard about how Racey McMath could be the next Julio Jones and all that kind of stuff. And the Titans kept floating out Dez Fitzpatrick. Since Vrabel's come out about a week and a half ago and says, Dez is really struggling, now you're starting to see more of the local media pile in, like Paul Kaharski and some of these other guys. So this is going to be interesting. Dez Fitzpatrick, Racey McMath, both guys, I think, on the fence at this point, and they're both draft picks from the Titans. Dez, we know they traded up for him. So I think that's a very interesting note. I'm glad you really did bring that one up.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's something. Again, is that – I mean, again, it's a little too early, obviously, to say like, oh, I think the most, if he still doesn't shine, Dez Fitzpatrick, this and that, the most I think he'll end up being is practice squad. I think the regular season, if he doesn't, I guess, mold up to our expectations, right?
The word I've heard, bust. That's the word I've heard.
Wow.
So if you think about it, this might be the Titans' last-ditch attempt to try to get something out of this guy. I mean, obviously they scouted him, but there were a lot of mixed reviews. And, we go back to the draft. I mean, we've had Broshmo on, and I know you've done a lot of your draft research. We've had Brian, draft_Brian. But the thing is, the Tevin Jenkins is interesting because a lot of Titan fans, including myself, would have been okay with taking him in the second round. We went with Redunds. I know the Bears traded up to get Jenkins, so he wasn't even an option. But that is interesting. He had just had back surgery, and apparently the Bears knew about his bad back. So with the draft and all these different scouting reports, you just never know. And this honestly could be a bust for the Titans. And yet another thing we'll have to work for next season.
Yeah. Well, again, is that one of the interests that you're going to be looking at, is like seeing if Dez Fitzpatrick's in the mix? Same thing with McMath, if they're in the field. Because again, like you said, I didn't see them when I was watching the game. I didn't really recall seeing them. I saw, again, a lot of Mason Kinsley, people as Chester Rogers sticking out, but not too much on Dez Fitzpatrick and McMath.
I would expect they're going to throw them out there quite frequently. I honestly didn't really notice Reynolds either. During the watch party, I didn't even know, like, to make a comment. I think I even said, like, hey, he didn't even play. And you mentioned Byard and some of these other guys, like, they were out there in the beginning. And like I said, I didn't really notice a lot of those guys, which sometimes it's good not to be noticed. But if you're a wide receiver, you want to be noticed.
Definitely, especially number 3 spot. So again, we'll definitely I'll be looking for that. Let me know in the comments what you guys are looking forward to for game 2. Who are you most excited to see? Again, I know a lot of people are excited to see Rashad Weaver back at it. Again, it's all about consistency. Same thing with the kicker. Is what's it called, McCann coming back, or we have Ficken? Is Ficken the guy? He was not doing too bad. Again, as long as you stay consistent, keep kicking the balls, we'll see what happens. So,
yeah, I think Ficken right now seems to be in the driver's seat just because
the guy's hurt.
Yeah, McMahon. What's his name? I can't even think of his name now.
McCann.
I was thinking McMath, and yeah. So McCann, he was doing great against Atlanta. I mean, he had an and one, believe it or not, from 47 yards, got the kick and one.
Yeah.
And then he got hurt. So again, we'll see. This league is not as nice to some, especially if they come down with an injury. It's almost like a tarnish on the record, so to speak, even though we know it's not their fault. Mm-hmm. But if Tucker McCann could get back out there, the sooner the better for him, because he was doing pretty well in that Atlanta game.
He was. All right, guys. So, again, hopefully you guys enjoy the game, and we'll be obviously putting out a post-game video as well. Are you doing a watch party as well?
Not today.
Not today.
Post-game show then getting all that wrapped up today in a bow and back at it for next week.
There you go. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. Thank you again, Titan Upload, for coming on. I appreciate it. Again, it was last minute, but hey, it's always good to have you on the channel.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right, Tighten up. Say tighten up.